And if I had to start all over today, what I would do to become the top 1% in wholesaling real estate. And honestly, I'm not going to give you like cream puff stuff type of stuff. I'm going to give you like actionable things you have to do. And as simplistic as they'll sound, they've never been more true than today. So here's what I need you to do is if you guys want to introduce yourself in the comments, a lot of you already beat me to the punch. That is awesome. You guys are wonderful people. So I'd like to believe everybody tunes in here is of like-minded interest. So if you want to partner up with someone or do anything like that, just make sure you vet them correctly. And, here we go. So use the comments. I put a link in the top of the comments on how you can do a one-on-one with these. And the reasons I brought this on my personal channel is, number one, you get to see a little bit different side of me outside of me working with my son, which I spend a lot of time with him, which is great. And if you guys have family, you can understand that. And if you're fortunate enough to do business with them, but you guys get a little bit different content and you can ask me a little bit different questions. And my son has his own channel. You guys looked on there tonight. So that is awesome. So let's get into it. If you guys have never seen this channel before, what I need you to do is just go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you everything to do from there. And the idea is to get you your first deal and get you through wholesaling and teach you how to do it. And honestly, without taking any money out of your pockets, 100% free. I believe everybody should be able to do their first deal for free. Not only their first deal, get you to your first $100,000. And I haven't had just 20 or 30 people do it. I've had thousands. So anyone who tells you if you don't have skin in the game, you can't make it, most likely they're going to be a guru and they want you to pay them to make it work. And I don't think that's right. So that's it, guys. So if you have any questions, concerns, anything like that with wholesaling, honestly, you can ask me anything on the Rick Ginn channel because I'm a little bit more wide open on this. So I will go as long as I have questions. I'll probably take the first. I'm not going to take long in the beginning here. So if you guys want to get on and you want to do a one-on-one, tonight's probably want to be one of your best nights to do it because I almost guarantee I can get to everyone because sometimes I talk a little bit more. Sometimes I talk a little bit less. So today's been like one of those crazy days in my life that honestly, I actually enjoy doing this part. I don't believe talking to you guys is taxing at all. It's actually very, very, I guess it's almost therapeutic in a way. So I've been beat up by lawyers, accountants, what else? Bookkeepers, definitely sellers today. And commercial tenants, where they're a lot of fun sometimes. So I am reading your comments. Actually, I haven't even got a bite to eat today. It's like my first cup of coffee because I still got to go work out today. I haven't even got to it yet. So awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. Talking about being in the top 1%. And the reason I talk about this, because I was like, oh, what's it take to get to your level? Honestly, so many of you guys think that it's like this destination you wind up on. And I'm here to tell you, it's what you do today that will predict your outcome for tomorrow. And then it will keep working. And the reality is what you're doing today will dictate if you go to the top 1%, top 5%, 10%, whatever you want to call it. But it's not some destination you just pull up. You have to get in there and get it done. Okay. So I will tell you the first thing that you have to resolve is your mindset. And it's one of the biggest challenges for wholesaling. So everybody loves the theory of what we do for the most part, most people, but the reality of getting it done can be an overwhelming task for a lot of people. And that the reality is, why is there a 90-95% failure rate in wholesaling? On the coaching guru part, it's because you all get excited about it. Oh God, I want to do what Rick does. That's awesome. And then I show you what you got to do. And you just kind of like look at me in this glazed stare like, well, my other job's not so bad and I don't have to like kill myself. And the problem is with that is going to be your mindset. So the biggest thing you have to do before you even consider on the 1% is you got to get in your mindset. You have to fix it and make it right. Okay. If you want to be like everybody else around you, just keep doing what you're doing. And I promise you, you will achieve it. Okay. You are so capable of so much. It's disgusting. I'm telling you, you have no idea what you're capable until you push yourself to that point. But I promise you, your friends, your family, your peer group, they are not going to push you. The opposite is going to happen. They're actually going to want you to stay with them. How do I know this? You guys, I do not have the same friends that I started out in wholesaling as I do today. I have some good longtime friends. I have people I grew up with, and they're still my friends. But for the most part, you are going to change. So the first thing to move forward is you have to change your mindset. You have to first understand that you have to change the way you operate. You cannot do what everybody else does and expect a different result. And that's the biggest thing I see with everybody is like, you just refuse to change your mindset. Let me give you an example. You know what I'm complaining about today? You ready for this one? I'm complaining that I had to stop myself because once you start complaining, you all admit you start spiraling down you just start spiraling. One negativity rolls to another one and it just seems to like fester and it grows like a weed. Okay. Number one, understand the human mind. We were meant to like avoid saber tigers and being eaten from dinosaurs and stuff like that. I don't even know if that's correct, but the idea is our animalistic thinking is, well, how do I survive today? Okay. The advanced thinking we're talking about with wholesaling and getting to the top and really separating yourself from the pack is you have to separate yourself from that thinking. How? Let me give you an example. You know the person that's in the grocery store and you get annoyed because the person in front of you, it's 10 items and they wind up doing like 18 or 22 items. If that ticks you off, you got the wrong mindset. Okay. If you flick somebody off because they cut you off, you have to change your mindset. You don't have control of this stuff. So you trying to assert yourself to control it, to let them know you're upset with them, you're just wasting energy. If you take that same energy and harvest it towards changing your own mindset, it will change. My example, as I said earlier, okay, it's my ADHD kicking in. I was complaining about my tax liability for this year. Okay. So I had my final CPA meeting and I had my bookkeeper. I got all these people on the call and I'm just like, how? We bought all these properties. We made all this money. And he says, Rick, that's just the bill. You make a lot of money. And I got upset. And I'm thinking about that. Let me ask you, would you be okay with just having a $800 tax bill? And I'm thinking like, you know what? The more I pay in taxes, probably the better off I'm going to be anyway. So you have to pay your taxes. There's a way you can minimize your tax, but sometimes I make a decision to pay my taxes so I don't have to obligate myself owning hundreds and hundreds of properties because it's very, very taxing because you have to keep it up, the team, the accountant. I don't have 26 people that work for me, but I felt like I had 26 today. So I was getting upset about how much I owed. And the funny thing is, I look at it now, I would have killed to have this problem just probably 7 years ago. Honestly, when I worked in corporate America, I could have an entire sales staff and what they earned all in an entire year, I still would have paid more in taxes. So you know what? It is what it is. I don't like paying taxes more than anybody else. I'm working on strategies to pay less taxes, but there comes a point where there's just nowhere else but to pay the taxes. But I was complaining about it. It's my mindset. It's ridiculous. I need to get up and get a much, much bigger tax liability and find bigger problems. How do I do that? The thing is, I reach out and I help out as many people as I can. Sellers, I help you guys out. I help out people I network with. I help out my business partners, and that's how I get it done. You got to change your mindset, man. So think about the problems you're struggling with today and think about the problems you struggled with 10 years ago. And you're like, oh, that's funny. I remember when I thought making $100,000 a year that was it, man. I'm done when I made 100 grand. And honestly, I can do that in a 2 to 3 week period with my eyes shut. But I complain, right? So I'm just telling you, it's all relevant. It's mindset. And you got to get to the point where you just keep working your way up the mindset ladder and just go, okay, this is what I do. You can't, life is, you have no idea how short it is till you get to my age. And it's sitting there complaining about stuff that, number one, you don't have control. And number two, you're not going to change the outcome, is do not spend energy on that. Okay. It just doesn't work. People who complain constantly, I avoid them at all costs. Honestly, if you guys get on here and complain, like, I want to end the conversation as soon as possible, because the one thing I've learned is nothing gets solved when you sit there and just complain. And if you're a chronic complainer, it consumes you and you can't get anything done. So here's the good news. If you're in that mindset now, fix it. Be aware of it. That's number one. So if you have a problem with a mindset, become extremely aware of it and start self-correcting yourself. So if you think you talk too much, go, oh, here I go. I'm going to shut up now. If you think you joke too much, sometimes you got to be a little bit more businesslike. If you sleep too late, you need to set an alarm and get up. We're going to go into that a little bit, but guys, it's mindset. So here's a quick cure. I love YouTube. There's some of the most amazing videos out there. Look at people who've really accomplished, that are extremely consistent in how they do it, and find them. You guys know I love Tony Robbins. I think he's an amazing communicator. And one day, if you guys don't know Tony's story, he just decided he was not going to put up with his own BS. And he made himself accountable. Okay. And that's when his life changed. That's when my life changed. And honestly, it's what can easily happen with you. So stop making excuses. Tomorrow is coming, if you like it or not. So anything you're putting off tomorrow, just start it right now. Change your mindset and decide you're not going to put up with it anymore, because whatever you tolerate is what you're going to get in life. And I'm telling you, it's correct. Life is tough sometimes. It is not perfect. It is not like Facebook out there. It's not like always like YouTube. I'm here to tell you, you have to change your mindset. If you have a chance, you can go to, it's called UPW, Unleash the Power Within. I brought Zach in there when he was a young man, and I believe it had a very profound impact on him. I brought my daughter there. I brought my wife there. And sometimes people need to hear it from other than you. So if you're a parent, AKA a dad or a mom, sometimes you got to bring in third parties to kind of show people the light. So I made my kids go and I separated myself from them so they could fully engage in it. And it's like, I think it's like $500 or $700, guys. It's well worth it. Like, if you can change someone's mindset for that price. But here's the problem. There's a lot of you out there go, I don't want to pay $700 to go to some Tony Robbins seminar. It's like, I go, first of all, he's not a guru. Okay. It's a guy who does what he says. $700 is a good deal to change your entire life, especially if you're young. I don't even care if you're old. Okay. It is amazing. But people go out and spend $150 on a dinner. They'll go out and get a bar bill. They'll go on a cruise. And I'm telling you, you have to learn to invest in yourself. So to change your mindset, number one, recognize it. Number two, commit to invest in yourself. That doesn't mean go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on guru. It's actually quite the opposite. And guys, if you have a limited funds, limited time, if you have access to the internet, like I know you do watching me on this, there's so many videos on YouTube. Find it from high quality people. Do not go down the YouTube rabbit hole of just like searching randomly. So if you want to look at Tony Robbins and deep dive, you can go to 2 to 3 hours of videos and it's 100% free, and let it inspire you. I don't care what it is. You've got to get out of your mindset. Recognize it, guys. I'm telling you, amazing things will happen in your life. Our great Ed Milet, dynamite. Just great stuff. So it's, that's it, man. You guys think I like working out, man? I hate it, but like, it's, if I don't do it, I know stuff's going to break down. Okay. So mindsets first. So the first thing is you got to create your musts. So we're talking specifically about wholesaling, but we're going to relate this in life. You've got to write down your must. What must you do to be a top wholesaler? Well, I can tell you this. You can't complain. Your mindset's already got to be cleaned out, and you've got to set a plan in the motion, okay? If you make it a must is not, I'm going to try, I'm thinking about it. Well, if this happens, then I'll do this. A must is, this is what I'm doing. A must in my vocabulary is translated to the word conviction. Conviction means I'm doing it no matter what. If it kills me, I'm going to do it. What is your must? Write it down, put it on your computer, look at it every day. Guys, your bathroom mirror is one of the best tools you can use because let's face it, you can't avoid it. I know you ladies can't avoid it. Two ladies in my house, I know. But you got to look at it every day. So, what is your must? What is your must? So, when wholesaling, what is it? Is it to provide for your family and have as much free time as you can with them and get out of your corporate job that you hate? Then that's your must. Put down your must, the stuff that's going to be non negotiable with you, and burn it into your nervous system because the universe responds to what you ask for. But the first thing you have to do is ask it from yourself. And if you don't ask from yourself, it's not going to happen. Okay. So I'm going to be kind of moving on here. Act as if. Okay. So you hear this all the time is they always say, dress for the job that you want to ultimately be in. Now, I'm not a good example because I'm wearing a Psycho Bunny shirt, but that's just how I roll. Why? Because I wore a suit for 12 years of my life. And I'm going to be honest with you, I hated every minute of it. And I swore there's only two places where I wear a suit. Now, I'll wear it if it's required for a business meeting. It's going to be a funeral, which I hate, just like all you. And it's going to be for a wedding, which I love. I love weddings. I think weddings are a lot of fun. Dancing, food, cake, and family. Yeah, I know some of you are like, oh, yeah, it's the open bar too. I don't participate in that, but I'm just telling you it's so you need to act the part. You need to do it now. You need to start projecting. So this is where it comes in. Remember, stop focus. You want to know where you're going to wind up, but what are you going to do today to start this? Okay. So today, if you have a motivated seller and you're working with them, you're going to have to show extreme confidence today, just like you're over here and go, oh my God, I'm going to be like Rick in 20 years. I go, listen, Rick was scared and horrified his first probably 5 or 10 deals. But I got through it. Why? Because I acted as if I just moved forward. What's the worst thing going to do? Kick you out and laugh at you? Who cares? We've all had that experience. If you haven't, you really are like going through life, right? Act as if, guys, right now, if you're working with a motivated seller, you're working with someone that you're struggling with, just have the confidence and go in, because you don't get the confidence when you get 1,000 deals. The reality is just get through that first one and it changes everything in wholesaling. That's how it was for me. And that's how it's most of you I talk to you. So if you haven't got your first deal, then you just got to act as if it is. Now, the first deal is usually the most challenging one. Okay. So if you got to fight through 20 or 30 motivated sellers that write contracts to get that one, stick to it. Act as if I'll write 1,000 contracts just to get my one. And if you think like that, you act as that. You can never go like this. Well, if I write this contract, I'm out. That's not acting, man. That's faking it. Okay. Act as if you've already done this 20 years. The reality is wholesaling is about networking and talking to people. The real estate is just a symptom of people's problems. Okay. So you guys have all been in life long enough to understand how people work. And we're all learning and evolving as we do it. So just help people out. Okay. So you don't need to know everything about real estate. Just let you know, my first 10 deals I did, I knew very little about real estate. How was I able to move forward? I acted as if. Okay. It doesn't mean I lied to people. It doesn't mean I BS'd people. I went and got help when I needed it. And I was honest and transparent. But more importantly, I was like the most enthusiastic person. So you younger people out there that are blessed with this beautiful thing called youth. Okay. You are being told in life, your youth is a liability. I'm here to tell you it's the complete freaking opposite. Your youth is your asset and you have to have enthusiasm with it. True story. People that reach out to me that want to like, hey, Rick, I want to do a deal with you. I want to do this. I want to do that. I have no experience, but their enthusiasm is through the roof. And they show me examples of how they've gone above and beyond what they need to get done. And they're willing to show me the walk through a wall. I'll hear those people out all day long. I love people. I was that person. I would have done anything to be successful in this business. So act as if. I'm going to keep on moving. Okay. Here's the next one. You got to think, man. You got to think like a wholesaler. Like you truly, truly have to like think. So a lot of times you can answer a lot of your questions like, okay, just go like this. What would Rick do? Or what do you think Rick's thinking about when he does it? What do you think Zach does? I don't need you to be us. It's just like, listen, I simplify wholesaling. I always tell you guys, if you have to bring out a calculator, you're paying too much for the deal. If you spend more than 10 minutes on comps, you're trying to justify your overpriced purchase of your property. Okay. If it doesn't work, go back and fix it now, because if you don't, this is going to be painful down the road. Okay. So think like a wholesaler, not like a speculator. This is probably one of the biggest differences you have to understand. Okay. You are a wholesaler. It means you have to buy deals for what they're worth today, not tomorrow. That's for the fix and flippers. That's for all these other guys. And all these other people that bring all these cute tips and tricks on how to go around wholesaling, they'll never last, because wholesaling is always going to be here. It's been here 100 years before I did this. There's examples of wholesalings all the way back to like the 15 to 1600s. And I can prove it to you anytime you want. Anybody want to challenge me? It's in the United States historical. Go over to Washington, D.C. I'll pull it up. I took all the information on it. True story. I went to Washington, D.C. to tour our nation's capital, and I spent like an hour and a half like researching like real estate and like its origins, and all the way back to Europe and all the stuff that goes with it. And I found like predominant flippers that would be in a town, and these guys wholesaled all the properties. It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to get you a name on it. But so there's people that think, oh, you can't do it anymore. It's been going on since the 1500s, guys. And definitely since the 1700s in the United States, once in its early infancies. And guys, this has been around a super long time. Okay. So I need you to think long-term about this. Also, when you're thinking, think about some real long-term goals for you. Like, hey, what if I could work with my kids? I never even thought about that. It just happened naturally. Okay. There's so many things, but you have to think like a wholesaler, which means you got to think about business today, and you got to think about business tomorrow. And then you got to think long-term on strategies. Okay. Understand this, the mindset of a wholesaler that wants to be in the 1%, your goal is to generate revenue now, not tomorrow, not speculating, but you need to generate revenue now, which means in the present. And then you take that revenue, which you're going to work your butt off, and then you take that money to buy assets to pay you and your family for the rest of your life. That way you can wholesale if you want, when you want. That's how I do it. That's why I have so much fun with this. Okay. I want you to do the same. I was fortunate enough to teach Zach at a young age to indoctrinate this philosophy to make it work. Okay. And it works very well. So thinking, okay. So you have to think about someone you want to be like. So many people think thinking is like, you have to do exactly what they do. No, you just need to like think I'm always thinking, how can I make more money? How can I grow my business? And how can I help others while I do it? And everybody's got a different way of doing it. I'm okay with it. Like, we're all put on this earth to share stuff. It's stupid to think somebody owns one thing. That's why I do freewholesaling.com, because it drives me nuts when people go, oh yeah, I own this, I own that. Nobody owns anything. It's ridiculous. So, let's see here. I'm going to touch on that comment on the Airbnb one, I promise. So, it's so important you guys understand how to do this. So let me get back on it. Okay. Here's the one. This is what's going to separate from the people that actually want to be successful wholesalers and the ones that want to talk about it. Okay. So I love this last week. If you guys watch me and Zach on Flip with Rick, we did a driving for dollars challenge. So if you guys ever had a chance to look at it, we used dmzac.com on the driving for challenge. But the really cool part is to show you like how it works. And one thing is we asked you to be accountable for it. And the people posting, the amount of leads they're getting it from it, I had a purpose for this. I want you to think like me, but more importantly, I want you to do just as I do. So if we're talking about the do's, okay, you got to do it. So if you're going to do a driving for dollars challenge, go out and get 500 leads. Don't talk about it. Don't ask what your neighbor did. Go out and do it and then make an accountability post. The people I've done it this last week are honestly amazing. Like that's a doer. That's a person who just goes out. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I love when you guys commit and say, hey, I'm going to do this and nothing's going to stop me from doing it. It makes a huge difference how you operate. And I'm telling you, it works well. Okay. Now, we talked about probably one of the biggest missing pieces people have that don't get in the top 1% or 10% for that matter, consistency. Once you figure out what you're going to do, you got to be brutally consistent. You have to be militant almost on a daily basis. If not, you have to have weekly and monthly, and you can't stop doing it. So if you're doing cold calling Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, you have to do it. Oh, you're sick? You're going to have to make up for it. You're going to have a makeup day. Oh, you're going on vacation. You have to account for all this stuff in your consistency plan. Consistency doesn't mean do it until it becomes inconvenient and make an excuse. You're going to have to write it in. Okay. Guys, I took a 3-year period. I never took a vacation. I never took a day off. I just wholesaled like crazy. And I got so much further ahead than everybody else because they had vacations. I had this, I had that. I just rocked and rolled. And I need to tell you, consistency, if you're struggling and you want to talk to me on a one-on-one today, I can easily find out how consistent you are. And I probably find the problem right off the bat. So consistency wins all the time. It's boring. It's monotonous. And nobody likes doing it, but everybody does it so they can get the end result. Okay. Which leads me really to the last one. You ready? There's no way you'll be in the top 1% without this. You have to be disciplined. Discipline is everything. And so many of you guys look at like discipline like it's a negative connotation. And I'm here to tell you, discipline it's a good thing. So if you're like me, when I was a small child, I was disciplined all the time because I just acted out. It's just, you guys can relate, you guys understand. But as I grew older and I understand, discipline was a way of life. And if I didn't do it, everything was going to be difficult. Okay. Now, here's the one thing is discipline is not a skill that you're born with. It has to be a learned skill. There's no exception. Anybody on this live tell me nobody's just born with discipline. Some it's easier than others, but you have to learn it in some form. So if you work out, it is a required discipline to learn how to do it. Why? Because it hurts at first. It's inconvenient. You have to set a time for it, and it's a pain in the butt. And then after a certain amount of months, you know why the real reason why I work out other than the health benefits is number one, it's a release for me. And number two, I feel awkward when I don't work out. So a discipline becomes really cool when you feel awkward by not doing it. So if you cold call 4 days a week and you took a week off, your discipline will actually make you feel somewhat guilty and deprived. And discipline, if you do it right, it works in reverse. Okay. But it is a learned skill set. Sometimes your parents taught it to you, and sometimes strangers taught it to you, or worst case, society will teach you discipline. Okay. It's really important. I way overlooked discipline when I was a young man. And you people that are in the military get discipline because that's the only way a military can operate. And guys, I'm telling you, discipline is absolutely everything. The last one I'm going to leave you with, I know this just kind of goes along with your thinking and your mindset and your must, but guys, you have to have goals when you do this stuff. I want you to make a goal for the start of this next coming year. Okay. And then you set it. And then I want you to reward yourself when you reach it. But then you got to have a long-term goal. Like, what is it going to look like in 10 years? And that stuff you can get like really excited about. Guys, I'm telling you, just in 2 years, you can change your life so dramatically. It's ridiculous. And I want you to understand it. To be able to get in the top 1%, you're going to have to do the things I've already mentioned in this live stream. There's no way you're going to get it accomplished without doing it. Okay. The discipline, most of you struggle with that the most. I'm here to tell you, either you discipline yourself or society will discipline you for you. Which do you want? You're going to have to pick. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's a pain in the butt being broke, struggling to pay your bills? I've been there. Not knowing where your next meal is coming from, how you're going to pay your rent, all that. I've done all this, guys. I've done it. I'm telling you, it sucks. Okay. That's hard. Or you can discipline yourself to do the things on a daily basis to get in that top 1%. And that's hard too, but you have a lot more options in life and you are in 100% control. So pick which hard you want. Same thing. Like the reality is either you can work on your wellness, make time for your wellness. If not, you are going to be forced to deal with your illness. And it's the same thing, business, finances, health. It doesn't matter.